Hi there, and welcome back to Erin Reads, the channel where we share powerful insights and personal growth lessons through great books. Have you ever wondered what life would look like if we produced no waste at all? Erin Rhoads Waste Not shows us that this dream isn't far away. Begins with small choices we make every day. If you enjoy what you hear and want to dive deeper, we've included a link to the book in the description below. Now, let's get started. Waste Not. Make a Big Difference by Throwing Away Less 2019 is a practical handbook designed to help readers shift their consumer habits to reduce waste and minimize negative impacts on the environment. With clear, actionable suggestions, the book offers solutions that allow you to maintain the conveniences of modern life while living more sustainably. It shows how you can reconnect with nature without giving up the everyday comforts you used to. Erin Rhoads is one of Australia's best-known zero-waste lifestyle bloggers. Since 2013, she has shared her journey toward greener living on her blog, The Rogue Ginger, and today, she works as a consultant on waste reduction. Her writing frequently appears on major outlets such as ABC Radio, BBC World Service, and The Guardian. In addition to Waste Not, she is also the author of Waste Not Every Day. Have you ever noticed how plastic is everywhere? From household items to the seemingly paper coffee cup you grab on the go, most of them contain plastica material mass-produced over the past century that still hasn't disappeared. It clogs landfills and pollutes oceans. Yet in recent decades, environmental awareness has begun to shift. Recycling bottles, paper, and plastics has become routine for many. But there are still misconceptions. One of the biggest is the belief that recycling alone is the ultimate solution to our waste crisis. In reality, the more important step is to reduce cutting back on waste at the source. This is not only an environmental act, but also an opportunity to adjust your lifestyle and take better care of yourself. By producing less waste, you can eat healthier, reduce exposure to harmful chemicals, learn practical skills, and rediscover the joy of simple living rather than endlessly chasing material things. Waste Not is an invitation to look more closely at the link between daily habits and the environment. It encourages readers to rethink consumer patterns, explore how recycling really works, learn to break free from plastic dependence, and simplify all aspects of life from eating and beauty routines to cleaning and home care. It's a reminder that sometimes the smallest changes can make the biggest difference for both our well-being and the planet. Consume less. Let the earth breathe more. Imagining a life without waste may sound distant, even impossible. But if we pause for a moment and observe nature, we'll see that such a life is not only possible the way the natural world has always worked. When a leaf falls, microbes in the soil break it down, and the nutrients are reused by other organisms to continue the cycle of life. Nature functions in a perfectly circular system. Nothing is wasted. Everything is reused in the most natural way. Life once worked like this, at least until the dawn of the industrial age. With the rise of mass production, humans began to exploit natural resources on an unprecedented scale. What was once sustainable became unbalanced. We extracted oil, mined minerals, manufactured countless new products and, of course, generated more and more waste. Much of this waste is toxic, with plastic being the prime culprit. From that point onward, the negative impact on the environment grew worse, all starting from our consumer habits. Even with sustainable solutions, such as solar energy and recycling, the reality is that they, too, require resources to function. That is why reducing consumption plays a pivotal role. Every new item we buy consumes resources, raw materials, manufacturing technology, and energy for transportation. And when we're done with it, disposal adds yet another burden to the planet. Plastic is the clearest example. It doesn't biodegrade and can persist for hundreds of years, clogging landfills and filling the oceans. Today, plastics have seeped into our food and drinking water. Plastic debris washes ashore, gets lodged in turtles' noses, and fills the stomachs of seabirds who mistake it for food. As it breaks down, plastic forms microplastics, tiny fragments that, along with microbeds from facial scrubs and exfoliating products, end up in the sea and are absorbed by marine life. A 2016 study estimated that Europeans consume around 11,000 pieces of microplastic each year through seafood alone. So if you think recycling is the ultimate solution, the truth is more complicated. A recycling symbol on a product does not mean it can be recycled indefinitely. Many types of plastic can only be recycled once or twice before reaching the end of their life cycle. Paper can be reused more often, but the recycling industry itself depends on market demand, no buyers, no processing, and the waste keeps piling up. What's even more concerning is that modern consumer culture encourages us to buy more. Electronics, clothing, and household goods are often designed to break down quickly or go out of fashion, FASTA strategy, known as planned obsolescence. When a gadget starts glitching, or an outfit is no longer on trend, we're pulled back into the cycle of buy consume. But it doesn't have to be this way. Once we recognize the importance of mindful consumption, each of us can begin to make changes. Even the smallest steps can create a positive ripple effect in the natural world, allowing the earth to breathe a little easier. Not only for today, but for generations to come. Rethinking consumer habits. A zero-waste lifestyle can be imagined as a closed loop, where everything is reused and almost nothing is discarded. This stands in sharp contrast to the way most people live today: buy, use, throw away, a linear system that generates mountains of waste. The concept of zero waste was first introduced in the 1970s by Dr. Paul Palmer, a chemist in California. He founded a company that recovered and reused chemical waste in Silicon Valley. Palmer believed that waste was essentially the result of poor design, and that every byproduct could be repurposed if people found the right use for it. Sharing this vision, B. Johnson, creator of the influential blog Zero Waste Home, argues that recycling alone is not enough. She encourages people to rethink their relationship with waste through her 5-step model, known as the 5 Rs: refuse, reduce, reuse, rot, and recycle. Instead of relying solely on recycling, Johnson suggests starting at the very beginning, refusing what we don't truly need. The key is to ask ourselves before buying, do I really need this item? The message is clear. It's time to take a hard look at how we consume every day. By adjusting our shopping behavior, each of us can directly reduce the amount of waste we produce. One of the simplest steps is to say no to single-use plastics. Instead of plastic bags, bring reusable cloth bags. A thermos can replace disposable coffee cups. Straws, cutlery, and takeout containers, all the items typically tossed after one use, can be swapped for reusable versions. Buying package-free products is another powerful shift. Bulk stores and Coops are becoming increasingly common, allowing shoppers to bring tote bags and glass jars. Not only does this reduce packaging waste, but it can also save money, since you're not paying for unnecessary wrapping. Another crucial step in reducing waste is to carefully observe the waste you create. By tracking what you throw away each day, whether it's food scraps, plastic wrappers, metals, or cardboard, you gain insight into your habits. After a week or two, you may notice certain categories of waste dominate. That's when you can start making small but meaningful changes, such as composting kitchen scraps into nutrient-rich soil. Finally, consumption doesn't always mean buying something new. When the author's blender broke, instead of rushing to purchase a replacement, she borrowed one from a friend and had hers repaired. These small actions support a sharing economy and sustain local repair businesses. And when borrowing or repairing isn't an option, buying secondhand is a great alternative. Extending the life of products not only reduces waste, but also cuts down the emissions caused by manufacturing new goods. The green kitchen. Planning to cut down on waste, the kitchen is often considered the heart of a modern homeplace where we cook, chat, and start the day with a warm cup of coffee. Yet it's also the single biggest source of household waste. With groceries replenished every week, piles of packaging, especially plastic, flow in and quickly end up as trash. If you've ever tried to cut back on plastic, you'll notice that kitchens are filled with unnecessary packaging. The truth is, people lived healthy and fulfilling lives for thousands of years without single-use items or plastic wrappers. We can do the same today. It just takes a little more planning. Change always starts small. Try making your own pasta or mayonnaise at home. Not only will you reduce packaging waste, but you'll also gain control over the ingredients, making your food safer and healthier. If possible, grow simple greens like herbs or lettuce. This saves money, reconnects you with nature, and if paired with a compost bin, gives you a natural source of fertilizer to feed your little garden. Before each shopping trip, pause and think, what do I need? Where will I buy it? Is there a way to avoid unnecessary packaging? These simple questions can keep you from bringing home plastic bags and other disposable clutter. Sustainable living in the kitchen begins with asking, how can we cook, clean, and shop with less waste without making life harder? When writing a grocery list, prioritize seasonal foods and local products. This not only saves transportation costs and lowers your environmental footprint, but often requires less packaging. If you must buy something wrapped, consider how it can be reused. For example, butter wrappers made of foil can be flattened and repurposed as handy baking tin liners. Many assume that growing food at home is only for people with large gardens or lots of free time. In reality, all you need is a sunny windowsill and a few small pots. Cherry tomatoes, cilantro, basil, all of these thrive in apartments. And imagine the joy of stepping over to your little garden, plucking a fresh cucumber or kale leaf, and cooking with it immediately. Simple, yet deeply satisfying. Another critical step is tackling food waste through composting. Few people realize that when food scraps end up in landfills, they often don't decompose properly and instead release methane, a greenhouse gas, harmful to the planet. Composting at home turns waste into nutrient-rich fertilizer for your plants. It's a win-win: less trash to manage, healthier soil for your garden, and a meaningful step toward a greener lifestyle. Caring for your home. Valuing your belongings. Open the cabinet under your kitchen sink and you'll likely find an entire collection of plastic bottles filled with chemical cleaners, surface sprays, glass cleaners, oven degreasers, and more. Few people realize that many of these products contain substances that can harm our health. Some disrupt hormones, others affect the nervous system, and a number are even linked to cancer. They linger in the air and on surfaces in our homes, and eventually flow down the drain into the ground. But if we look back in time, people didn't rely on shelves full of chemicals. They managed with just a few simple ingredients, like soap and vinegar, to keep their homes clean. This simplicity is part of a zero-waste lifestyle. living with less, using what's already available, and taking good care of belongings. Looking after what you own doesn't just prevent wear and tear, it makes your possessions more valuable. A wooden floor cleaned properly, a rug well maintained, or a sweater gently hand-washed will last much longer. When things last, the need to replace them decreases, and with it, the amount of waste you generate. In fact, keeping your home clean with simple, natural ingredients is easier than you might think. Mix soap with hot water and you have an all-purpose cleaner for tiles, mirrors, stainless steel, refrigerators, and windows. Vinegar is also highly effective, though you should never mix it with soap, since vinegar breaks down soap's structure. For mopping floors, scrubbing ovens, or cleaning toilets, vinegar combined with baking soda works wonders. Recipes are easy to find online. Even tiny leftover bits of soap can be melted into liquid soap, perfect for hand washing delicate items like wool sweaters. Cleaning tools pose another challenge, as most are made of plastic or synthetic materials that don't break down. Fortunately, there are sustainable alternatives. Old t-shirts can be cut into cleaning rags. Loofahs make excellent scrubbers, and for something sturdier, coconut husks are a great option. When cleaning glass, old newspapers are surprisingly effective. And don't throw out your old toothbrushes, they perfect for scrubbing hard turret, corners, and tile grout. As you change the way you care for your home, you may begin to notice how many items you own that you don't really need. Instead of rushing to donate or discard them, pause and reflect. Why don't I use this anymore? Could it be useful to someone else? Could I sell it or repurpose it for another use? Asking these questions not only makes you more mindful in your shopping habits, but also helps build a broader culture of sharing, ensuring that things don't go to waste simply because they lack a second chance. Sustainable fashion. The style of mindfulness. It may be hard to believe, but the fashion industry is one of the biggest generators of waste today. With the boom of fast fashion wear, people are constantly urged to refresh their entire wardrobe every season. It's no surprise that clothing is piling up in landfills. In Australia, for example, around 90% of clothing is imported, and every 10 minutes about 6,000 kilograms of garments are thrown away. Behind each discarded shirt or pair of jeans lies an enormous hidden cost: water, energy, and human labor consumed in production. But living sustainably doesn't mean giving up your sense of style or forcing yourself into absolute minimalism. What matters is changing the way you think about buying and caring for clothes. Instead of chasing short-lived trends, focus on building a wardrobe of timeless essentials, classic, versatile pieces that never go out of style. And if you have clothes that haven't been worn for months, consider who around you might need them and take joy in passing them along. Caring for your clothes, from the way you choose them, to how you maintain them, to how you eventually part with them, it's itself a mindful fashion statement. Next time you feel like shopping, visit a thrift store or vintage shop. Not only is it more environmentally ethical, but it also allows you to discover unique, one-of-a-kind pieces of high quality and lasting beauty. Prioritize natural fabrics, sturdy stitching, and simple yet elegant designs. And never shop out of boredom only. Invest when you find something that truly fits and delights you. Once clothes come home, the way you wash them is just as important. Surprisingly, around 80% of the energy used over a garment's lifetime comes from laundering after purchase. That means not every item needs to be washed after each wear. Socks and underwear should be cleaned thoroughly, of course. But jeans or jackets can be washed after several wears or simply spot cleaned and aired out. Doing this saves time, water, and electricity, while also extending the life of your clothes. Don't be afraid to repair garments when they tear or lose a button. You don't need to be a professional tailor. Your first stitches may be uneven, but your skills will improve with practice. More importantly, you're choosing to care for and continue wearing something you love, rather than rushing to replace it. And when clothes are truly beyond repair, repurpose them into cleaning rags or recycle them into useful household items. This is how we live more responsibly with fashion, by slowing down, choosing thoughtfully, and giving every item of clothing a longer, more meaningful life. Mindful fashion is not only sustainably stylish in the truest sense of the word. Loving yourself through natural choices. Step into most bathrooms and you'll likely find rows of bottles and containers: face washes, body gels, hair products, deodorants, cosmetics, toilet paper, and sanitary pads. Not only do these items take up space, but they also come with layers of unnecessary plastic packaging that quickly turn into waste, harming both our health and the environment. Author Erin Rhoads reminds us that you need to abandon your self-care or beauty routines to live a low-waste life. The key is to simplify, choose more natural options, and make thoughtful decisions. Loving yourself also means caring for your body in healthier, more sustainable ways, honoring both your well-being and the planet. The reality is that most modern personal care products are packaged in plastic, which not only generates waste but can also leach harmful chemicals such as BPA. Long-term exposure to these substances has been linked to hormone disruption, thyroid issues, and reproductive health problems. That's why opting for alternatives in glass jars, metal tins, or compostable cardboard packaging is a small but powerful shift. Take soap, for instance. A simple bar made with olive oil, wrapped in plain paper, can replace your face wash, body wash, and even shampoo. Similarly, a bamboo toothbrush can easily replace its plastic counterpart, just as effective, but far more eco-friendly. DIY options may sound unusual, but they're often easy and surprisingly effective. Toothpaste can be made with just baking soda, coconut oil, and a few drops of essential oils like clove or peppermint. Dentists often emphasize that technique matters more than the brand of toothpaste, making such natural solutions perfectly valid. When it comes to skincare, plant-based oils like rosehip, hemp seed, raspberry seed, or sea butter are excellent alternatives to chemical-laden creams. With no preservatives or synthetic fragrances, these single-ingredient products can nourish the skin gently and effectively. Of course, different oils work for different skin types, so a little research and experimentation go a long way. For women, menstrual products are another major contributor to waste. A single disposable pad contains as much plastic as 5 plastic bags. In contrast, a medical-grade silicone menstrual cup can last up to 10 years, and reusable cloth pads are breathable, washable, and long-lasting. These options aren't just better for the planet, they're healthier and more comfortable in the long run. You don't need to change everything overnight. Start small. Swap a plastic toothbrush for a bamboo one, use bar soap instead of body wash, or try a natural oil for moisturizing. Over time, these little changes accumulate into big impacts, not only reducing waste but also improving your health and sense of well-being. When people hear about zero-waste living, they often picture hippies, monks, or individuals leading joyless, austere lives stripped of modern comforts. But the truth is far different. Living simply and generating less waste is not about sacrifice. It's about mindful choices that enrich life. Rather than focusing on what's missing, imagine that every small action you take is helping to create a better world. Change doesn't have to come from massive movements. It can start at home, with your daily habits. Something as simple as regrowing food scraps, like scallions, dill, or leeks by placing their roots in water for a week before transplanting them into soil, is a small yet powerful step toward sustainability. From these little acts, a more intentional, fulfilling, and eco-friendly life begins. Reading Waste Not by Erin Rhoads felt less like going through a manual and more like having a heartfelt conversation with a wise and compassionate friend. What struck me most was how approachable the book makes the concept of zero-waste living. Instead of guilt-driven preaching or overwhelming statistics, Rhoads offers practical steps and gentle encouragement, reminding us that every small change matters. The book also challenged the way I view consumption. I realized how often I buy things out of habit, convenience, or cultural expectation rather than genuine need. Waste Not showed me that living sustainably doesn't mean deprivation, it means redefining value. A repaired appliance, a second-hand jacket, or a homemade meal carries not only functionality but also a sense of mindfulness and care. I particularly loved how Rhoads connects sustainability with self-care. Choosing natural products, eating thoughtfully, and reducing toxins aren't just acts of environmental responsibility, they are acts of love for ourselves. This perspective transformed zero waste from a duty into a lifestyle that enriches both body and soul. Ultimately, Waste Not left me with a hopeful conviction. Systemic change may feel slow, but individual choices do ripple outward. From kitchens and bathrooms to wardrobes and gardens, every mindful action helps shape a culture that values the earth and future generations. For me, this book isn't just about reducing waste, it's about reclaiming agency over how we live, consume, and care. The zero-waste lifestyle isn't just for activists, it's for anyone who cares about the future. Remember, every action counts. Start now, and be the reason our planet has hope.